Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Currently playing all the hits and misses of the golden age of arcade games. We last left off with Cosmic Avenger in the arcade. It's currently the summer of 1981, and let's see what our next game is. After Cosmic Avenger, we have Outlaw for our home computer, the Atari 400 or 800. We bought the high-end model, so we're going to check it out on our 800. Not a lot of info on this one because we don't have a box for it. Do we have any images? We have a screenshot, and that's about it. So one of our more obscure releases that we've seen, we have different versions, and we're going to play this. Oh, I see. This is one of the releases that was kind of put under the radar. It first was said it was released in 1979, but then found out it was something you would code in by APX, which is Atari Programming Exchange, and you had to run it through BASIC. And so at the time, I wasn't familiar with how to run BASIC on the Atari home computer, but now we're able to check it out for the first time. This is Outlaw. It is July 1981, and we're playing on the Atari 8-bit computer. There we go. This is it. All right, so for this one, what we're going to do is play player versus computer, and we have a lot of different options. You can see down in the bottom left corner, we can do player versus computer with a handicap, player with I have the handicap versus a computer, and then we both have a handicap, or player versus player. No one is joining me this evening, so I'm going to do player versus... Oh, no, I want player versus computer, just right off the bat, and then boot it up and go. Oh, and it's like it's like the Outlaw that you play in the arcade, but with color graphics, large sprites. Looks good. It looks like we're ricocheting off the cactuses for this one, or the cacti. But yeah, it's a cow. Yeah, the bullets are ricocheting all over the cactus. I've only got one hit on it. Yeah, the computer is relentless. Maybe I should have put him on a handicap. Yeah, but this is classic. This reminds me of playing Combat for the Atari 2600 and some of the first releases that were on the Atari home console. It feels the same way for this one. So it only has a few different game modes, but it's essentially a one-on-one shooter and plays really well. Not as many game modes as what we would have seen for the console, but looks better. And I can't hit the... There we go. We finally got one ricochet off the end of him. Yeah, there's nothing for barriers, and if I try different, the different game modes I have doesn't have anything different. Oh, I do have a different way with a river down the middle. Let's see how that one runs. Okay, yeah, this one's Howitzer, which I believe is a different game that was packed in with this one. So I don't think this one technically counts. But still, for the time, Outlaw is pretty cool. That was Outlaw for the Atari 400 and 800. And for that one, we're going to give that one just a slightly below average 2.5 stars. Still around the average range for what you'd expect and see for the time. Lots of fun and looks great on the Atari home computer. All right, so after Outlaw, what is our next game? Our next game is Space Assault for the TRS-80 color computer. Looks like a Space Invaders clone or a Space Invaders copy. Definitely going for the Space Invaders look. Let's take a look at the artwork for Space Assault. Radio Shack's program pack. There's the example of the cartridge. Really enjoy when the home computer has cartridges that you can plug in rather than messing with those cassettes or discs, but more expensive, at least to manufacture. And an example of the screenshot for us. We do have a manual for Space Assault. Let's see what Space Assault is about. From Radio Shack. There we go, 1981, released sometime in the summer of 1981. Save the world from attacking hordes of enemy alien beings by destroying as many invaders as possible. Score points for every enemy ship you destroy. Win bonus points by blasting the parent ships. And we even have loading instructions. Oh no, it's called Farting Space Invaders. Thanks for making me so excited to play the Space Invaders on the Coco. Oh yeah, analog joystick, yes. I'll make sure that one's plugged in. Objective Space Assault is get the highest score possible. Yes, most games were getting the highest score possible. If you survive the onslaught too long, you'll be aided by other defenders who will help make your final stand against the hostile enemy. There we go, the joystick. Space Assault requires the use of a joystick. Move the joystick to the left, make your defender move to the left of the screen, and to the right, move to the right. We got the idea. At expert level, pushing joystick. It doesn't say anything about the analog, though. It just says joystick here. So I got to make sure you have the right one plugged in. And then after you insert the game, it explains how to start. You get a beginner expert mode and 2 different skill levels. Faster action on the expert level is not the only difference. Bunkers are not provided on the expert level, so you have no way to defend yourself. And so you just select the game that you want, and then it explains about destroying the first wave of attacking aliens, and then the difference between expert and normal. And occasionally another ship, they don't call it the UFO, they call it a parent ship, will streak across the top of the screen. And be forewarned, it's impossible to destroy all enemy ships since they will be replaced with fresh troops. If the battle becomes too heated for you, you can surrender by pushing the break key. Awesome. And there's the different points you can get for Space Assault and then how to start over. And as usual, they always have the Radio Shack software license at the end of every manual. All right, here we go. It is September. Not September. It's July 1981. Oh gosh, we already heard some of the farting there. This is Space Assault for the TRS-80 Coco. We're going to start with beginner mode. And right off the bat, that is pretty cool. Well, the controls are analog. So using the analog joystick, we played this on the Atari home computer. I see what you mean by the farting Space Invaders. We played it on the home computer for Atari and the home console for Atari, but neither of them were using a paddle control or analog control. So it feels really cool. Let's try the expert mode and give that one a shot. Right off the bat in expert mode. Oh my gosh, yeah, they weren't kidding. I show up in expert mode and die. They should call it show up and die. And that, wow, it goes so quick. Let's do it again, expert mode again. So you can see it's still doing the one shot, one kill, but expert does speed it up a little bit, but it still plays really well and cool with the analog joystick. the death sounds of the aliens, after hearing so many explosions and sound effects in the arcade, it sounds really funny to hear as the death sound for him. Oh, okay, let's give it a shot. Oh, you're right. I can move up, but I don't want to. How close can I? Yeah, if I get any closer, yeah, they're gonna kill me even faster. Oh yeah, but this would have been a blast to play in '81. First time it was released, just imagine your parents got you the Coco, you go to Radio Shack, you get the newest game, and it's this one. Yeah, I could spend a long time playing this, having lots of fun with it. So going back to beginner mode, looks like, yeah, beginner mode, you can't move up and down, just side to side with the barriers. But it's essentially Space Invaders that you play at home. Very cool. Okay, so that's a blast. Now, for the time, it's still about average, considering what the games we've seen. It's not really doing anything to push new ground. The analog control, though, is a plus. So while it is, I actually would have gone 2.5, like still around the average range, slightly below average. But for the analog control, I'm going to still give it average, the 3-star rating. Because it's a single screen game, 2 different game modes, but the analog does give a little more on top of it. The control's pretty cool. So 3 stars for Space Assault. All right, so after the new release of the TRS-80 Coco, what is our next game? All right, our next game is Red Alert in the arcade. Let's take a look at the Red Alert artwork. What is Red Alert? We got 2 different ones by GDI. A surprise assault on the arcade and amusement market. Interesting, it says IRM. I bet it was programmed originally by IRM. The ultimate challenge awaits your players regardless of their skill rating. Oh good, because here at chronologicallygaming, our skill rating isn't very high. Oh, very good, very good. So we got headquarters issued orders to defend 6 countries. And we have Sonic jet fighters, attack helicopters with parachute bombs, multiple independent re-entry vehicles, or MIRVs, and heavy night bombers. The enemy's well-equipped, but you have rocket launchers and searchlights. Your mission is use your skills to get high scores and destroy all of the enemies. Can you save the countries from destruction? Remember, time is against you, and high scores are your goal. Of course they are. It is 1981. High scores are definitely our goal. Surprisingly, I thought that's all it was in 1981. It was all about the high score. But we have seen games on the home computer adventure games and role-playing games that it's not about high score. So it's kind of cool we already have that. All right, so there's an example of the arcade cabinet. Kind of a bad picture for Red Alert. There's our PCB, and controls are the classic now space controls, left, right, and fire. And then the arcade marquee for Red Alert. Oh, so it might have a night mode for this one. Awesome. All right, there's an example of the screenshot. So we do have a manual for Red Alert. Let's see. Red Alert by GDI. The operator's manual and parts list for it. We'll skip by the warning. Let's see. We got installation, operating instructions, and it does have information about playing the game. So after we scroll through all of that, when you first bought an arcade cabinet, you want to make sure all the parts are correct and then install everything. And then after all that, then we get to the game itself. How do you play Red Alert? What is Red Alert all about? I really enjoy getting a chance to read these and take a look at them because I want to hear how they explained it back in 1981. There we go. So playing the game. The first attack's in daylight. Bombers in formation with attacking aircraft. This sequence is introduced both audibly and visually. Red Alert. Oh, nice. They're going to probably talk to us. Enemy aircraft approaching fast. Mini jet fighters approaching. In this sequence, bombers in formation move left to right across the screen, and during the attack, they break formation to attack. Also, during the attack, special red-colored aircraft flying above the aircraft in formation appears. And then the MRF slowly descends, breaks into several bombs. Player participation during the attack is to destroy all aircraft by firing rocket launcher. During the attack, player is to avoid direct hits by bombs. Of course, we are going to avoid the direct hits. Then we have the second attack by helicopters, dropping parachute bombs. And then the third attack is at night. Introduced by Red Alert, night attack by bombers. And then we have, that's the end. Or then the game frames and repeats, respectively, with the different countries. So we get to play this in France, US, Italy, Great Britain, Germany, and Japan. That's great. And then we have a breakdown of all the scores, the different enemies that will attack, the red bomber, helicopter, open parachute, closed parachute, and then explains how you can lose the game. Very cool. So for Red Alert, we get to play in other countries. All right, let's see what other versions we have. We have another version that's called World War III. Maybe a copy or a bootleg. All right, so we're going to play the original. It's July 1981. This is Red Alert in the arcade by IRIM. Oh, there it is. Yes, we are getting it to talk to us. Very cool with all the artwork on the outside for Red Alert. On the far left, you can see they're given the score breakdown. Kind of hard to see from this angle. Let's see what other views we have for video options here. So we got, it's just that one or the upright. So we'll keep it on this one for the first and then zooming in for another round. Putting the first quarter in and pushing start. Here we go. Wow, that is some of the most crisp talking we've heard on the show so far. Wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, so controls are pretty simple, and that's the only sound we get. We have no sound effects. Oh, we do have a few. So they decided to do some sound effects, but we don't get all the sound effects. Oh, I see the bombs falling now. But yeah, the controls are just left, right, and fire. The locale's pretty cool, though. Going to France, or protecting France. And let's see, getting through all the waves. There we go. And then we should go on to the next one. All right, let's get it. Destroy him. Oh, man, they're totally switching it up now. We got some parachute... Oh, wow. The parachute bombers come down on us fast, but still not a lot of sound going for it. It looks like we're getting a single beep, which may be because of the emulation, not necessarily from the arcade cabinet itself. The speech is pretty cool. I guess whenever they were setting to emulate it, they're like, we got to get this thing to talk because it sounds great, but then we don't have time to do anything else. Oh, yeah, we're getting bombed to high heck here. Yeah, that is pretty supreme. We are #1 today. So we got the first high score. You can see they put the top score in the middle of the screen there. Let's zoom in to, let's see what ratio. That one would be the correct one. We'll stretch it just a little bit so you can see a little bit more. GDI presents Red Alert by IRIM. We've seen a few IRIM titles, but that's another company that is going to have a lot of great releases in the arcades. All right, so here we go. Put another quarter in and push and start.
Red alert. Enemy aircraft approaching France.
All right, we got to get through France.
Destroy all fighters by 1100 hours, or MIR will be launched.
Great idea to have a different country, and then after you finish the country with all the waves, then you move on to the next country. So instead of just repeating faster ships or so forth, it has different locales. So I really want to see something else if we can get past the first one. Too bad about the sound, though, because I'm sure it has pretty good sound effects. We've had some really amazing arcade games, great sound effects and music. So to have something with nothing seems a little off. All right, here we go. And the other cool thing about this is I like how it's doing... oh, gosh. Yeah, we're getting lit up. I like how it's doing this... I don't think I can get them all. No! Oh, my gosh. Yeah, the bombs are coming. Darn, okay, they got one on me. I still think we can finish France if we can get these guys down fast enough. France is getting bombed, and the buildings are still intact. We still have the Arc de Triomphe and the Eiffel Tower. All right, there we go. Now we got the searchlights, and I bet, yeah, they go dark in between. Nice effect there. That's cool. That's great. That's one of the first examples of a parallax. They're using two different layers on top of one another to give the illusion that it's a searchlight. It is not a light, but in 1981, yes, it feels like, wow, they're lighting up only one section of the arcade that you can see. Yeah, this is a lot more intense. Really hard because you can't see. You can only have, I think there's only one light whenever they're in the darkness. And if they blow up the searchlight, I think it all goes black. Yeah, I can't see. I only have a single red light whenever they're flying in the darkness. This is close. Is that it? Oh, yes, we got it. We saved Paris. Peace forever. All right, now they're coming for the U.S. Oh, they're not going to get us now. Yeah, so it looks like same idea, same formation. They just changed the background locale. So a great idea, though. Better than just having the repeat that we've seen in the arcades, or something gets faster. Oh, wow. That red plane nuked the Statue of Liberty. Yeah, this is a good gimmick. I dig this one. The end. We got bombed in silence without any sound. Too cool. So that was Red Alert. Now, the play control was a little more stiff considering the other games we played, but it still was a Space Invaders clone, just done in a different locale. For the arcade, it actually would be considered around the average range because of, but I say the light graphics are pretty cool, and we didn't hear the experience of the sound, but it was still there. We're not going to base it on how well it was emulated. So we're going to we'll go above average for Red Alert at 3.5 stars. It's good, but not enough to be really pushed into 4 or 5. So 3.5 stars for Red Alert. Yeah, Spotlight gimmick. I'm with you, Chiptune. All right, so after Red Alert, what is our... Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This is it. I'm so excited. This is Donkey Kong in the arcade. I can't believe we're here in 1981. We've been hearing the similar sounds of Donkey Kong from Radar Scope, and this is what happened when Radar Scope didn't work so well. They transferred it into Donkey Kong. All right, so this is the biggest release, or probably the most well-known release of Nintendo. We've already seen about 10 releases in the arcades by Nintendo, and this is the one everyone knows. So there you go, advertisement flyer from Nintendo. This is a reconstructed advertisement flyer. You can see we got Donkey Kong at the top, and he's known as Jumpman. So that guy down below, just he's Jumpman. No one knows, he's not as famous right now. Oh, this is great. All right, and then we also have Pauline, who looks like she's fainting. If you got kidnapped by a donkey or a gorilla, that's what I would do too. Chills, thrills, test your skills. Donkey Kong from Nintendo. Everyone's going ape over Donkey Kong. Help, help, she cries, the beautiful maiden, as she's dragged up a labyrinth of structural beams by the ominous Donkey Kong. You know what? Nintendo is the one really pushing the damsel in distress. Of all the other games we played, the Sheriff was another one by Nintendo where there was another damsel in distress, Priscilla. And now we have Pauline, another P named girl as the damsel in distress, but there's not a lot of video games that are making the damsel in distress. At this point, the hit is the shooter, the space shooter. And so you just go through and get the best high score you can. But Nintendo, I'm trying to think of another company we've seen on the channel that's doing the damsel in distress, and let's go save the person as if it's like an objective that you need to do. There's a board game for Donkey Kong. That's awesome. There's foreboding music and warns of the eventual doom that awaits the poor girl. Do they say her name? No, they don't say Pauline. So it's not Pauline yet. It's the beautiful girl, Donkey Kong, and the brave carpenter on the advertisement flyer. So there you go. I was calling him Jumpman, but that is the brave carpenter. At least this advertisement flyer, it looks like one of the originals from 1981. All right, so we got different versions of the system down at the bottom. But this description is excellent for an advertisement flyer. Looks really good. Nintendo is upping their game compared to the other ones we've seen. There's the example of the arcade cabinet with the classic artwork on the side. Oh, yeah, I agree. And then our PCB. For the control panel, we have 4 directions to move. Don't believe it was a 4-way joystick, though. It may have been. We might see if we have the manual for it. But we have 1-player, 2-player, and then jump. That's right, jump. With some instructions on the side. So there you go. Yeah, it might be a 4-way joystick. Just climb up, down, left, and right, and jump. And there's our arcade marquee. So we have the Brave Carpenter right here. That's the Brave Carpenter. Then we have a Beautiful Girl. That's all that she's called in the advertising flyer. And then, was he called Donkey Kong in the advertising flyer? He was. Okay, good. So he was the star, Donkey Kong. The other two just had made-up names. And it's a really cool artwork for Donkey Kong because it's Donkey Kong. Amazing. So excited for this one. Oh, we do have a manual. Which one is this one? Operator manual for the 2 PC board type. We have a copyright information on this one. No, this one looks really bare bones, so there may not be anything on this. Just installation. Maintenance. Points of interest, the dip switches, oh, the CRT monitor, don't shock yourself on that one. How to put together the whole cabinet. I don't think we have anything about, no, it looks like it's just the technical manual for Donkey Kong. So there you go, everything you wanted to know technically about Donkey Kong. For different versions, we have the hard kit, 3 different sets, the Japanese set, the US set, Donkey Kong Foundry, which is a hack, and then Donkey Kong conversion on Galaxian hardware, where it was just called Kong. So we're going to be playing the original. First released in Japan. This is July 9th, 1981. And we have Donkey Kong by Nintendo in the arcades. Yes, it does. Some very weird ones. And this isn't all of them. Like, you didn't see Crazy Kong there because we're actually going to play Crazy Kong. Not something that's a direct clone like the other ones that were mentioned. Our really cool artwork here. Let's see what other ones we have. For Donkey Kong, we got another option, a D2K. Not familiar with that one, but still looks really cool. Yeah, it's just a variation of it without the instructions at the bottom. And then Donkey Kong with Cocktail, which I have never seen. I've seen lots of upright Donkey Kong cabinets, but never seen a Donkey Kong Cocktail cabinet. That would be pretty cool. And then we have just some really nice artwork on the side. I like that one for the widescreen, so we'll keep that one for this. It kind of zooms it in, too, for us. Oh, and the sounds, yes. Here we go. First quarter going in for Donkey Kong. Crank up that bass. I always remembered the bass whenever I played this in the arcades, how it would thump and be so deep. Oh man, but this is fantastic. This would be the second game we've seen that has any platform jumping. We've seen the side view and platform games before, but and the only other jumping game I can think of is Jump Bug that we played. But that was a car moving to the side. Ah. Yeah, but all the sounds. Look, we get a Diddy on that screen, and then it comes to this one. Presentation is through the charts for Donkey Kong. Because even Frogger didn't have this opening segment, like showing something. You have Donkey Kong that climbs up the girders, and then we have an animation, so it's even a better cutscene than what we've seen. But Japan's already been doing some of those cutscenes, like we've seen with Lupin 3, or they got me again. I was trying to chance my luck on that. It didn't work though. See, even right there on the death, it still had something cute with some music playing as an intermission before your next game that you get to play. And we're still playing on 1/4 here. So officially, I am playing as the brave carpenter, according to the manual we just read. And the person I'm rescuing is the beautiful girl. They don't even give her a name. That's our damsel in distress. Oh, but I gotta say, this feels really cool playing a platformer. After playing a lot of shooters, the play control is awesome. Getting the feel of how it is, I can imagine back in 1981 it would have felt a little different, because the only other platformer we had that was jumping was the jump bug, and that's pushing up on the joystick to jump. And this is, you actually get to use the button to jump. Also, if you're wondering where's the other levels, the original arcade did not have all these different levels that was on the NES version. There was only the the original barrels, and then the skyrise. Oh, that's right, and the Universal sue, because Universal was in the arcade at the time. I know they sued because of the movie King Kong, but since Universal was in the arcades, I wonder if that's why they sued. That they wanted to make money off of an idea like this, because this is really creative. All right, we got one more left. Let's see if we can crash the Donkey Kong. He stole the beautiful girl. She's so important to us that, aw. I also don't light up on fire whenever I die. Game over. The brave carpenter is gone. Oh, are we still gonna put our initials in? That's great. I forgot about that. Yeah, it's a 4-way joystick because the... Yes, name was registered. It's a 4-way joystick because the... it's not allowing me to move up and down, or there's not any nuance with diagonal direction on it. All right, let me switch up the view. Let's go back to this one and do another game. We gotta beat Donkey Kong. There's only 2 screens on the original, I believe, unless there's another one after the main screen. We gotta see it. I know this one's a little smaller, harder to see, but the 2 circles of Donkey Kong and the brave carpenter kind of obscuring part of the screen, or making it look or appear like it's part of the screen, it is classic. That's what I remember when I played it in the arcades. Oh, it's not even related to the movie company? For some reason, I thought that they were a huge company that was doing movies and video games. It just happened. Oh, Donkey Kong got me on that one. Stupid monkey. Another great draw is, can you get higher? Like, raise Donkey Kong up, play level by level, and play more and more. That's another reason to play. It feels like you're accomplishing something by going to another level. Yes, she does. Oh, I knew it was coming. I think the blue one targets you, so if you're near the ladder, it's going to go down no matter what, and the other ones are random. You can see, well, except that blue one that Donkey Kong just tosses straight down at us. We also get the power-up, too, and it's not a power-up like a power pellet from Pac-Man or a button you push. It's something you grab and then get to use, which there is, I think, only one other game I can think of we played on the channel that does that, which is pretty cool. All right, so we're not going to try to rack up the points. Donkey Kong, don't throw anything at me. Let's go. All right, looking good. All right, what's your name? Oh, she's gone. We're never going to find that beautiful girl's name. He keeps taking us away. Okay, so the original arcade game should have 4, but we're going from the barrels to the skyscraper scene, which means I think they repeat one and then bring up another one. Yes, that's right. It's Donkey Kong time. All right, we don't really have the pro pattern to use for this. Another thing that's kind of funny is the brave carpenter falls when you drop from a high height. So there's actually fall damage. Well, they didn't call it that back then, but funny to think that one of the first platformers, if you went too far, you fell down. All right, let's take these guys out. Here we go. Okay, so it does the barrels again. That's right, because you have to repeat the same. There he goes. Great. Now tell me your name. Oh, okay, we still didn't get her name. Oh man, that was so close. I wasn't paying. It's tricky to look back at the chat and play Donkey Kong at the same time. The presentation in this is unmatched. I did that to myself. So the other thing that's really cool about this is I kind of knew this was coming of games that are going to be in the year, just because I've heard that they're going to be coming out in '81. And when we get to this, I'm actually expecting to be not blown away, but considering playing all the other games we have played, the context for this, this is incredible. One of the people at Nintendo played this in Japan when it was first released and saw how big this was, and that was when they wanted to bring it over to North America. Darn, so we don't get to see the next one, but yeah, there is another screen that plays, so it makes you feel like it's only going to have 2 screens that repeat, but you have to go to the next one and progress to get to the, what is it, barrels, rivets, barrels, elevators. No way, the Pie Factory's still in this one? I didn't think the original arcade had the Pie Factory. All right, so let's zoom it in again. And going again with some more Donkey Kong. Yes, they had to use the 2600 sound effects because, from what I've read, this game, while it says it was by Nintendo, it was outsourced to another company for the development. So the code itself was owned by another company that was not Nintendo. So they had to use something else that they own the rights to. Oh, that was a terrible showing. Oh, we got Greg Stewart here. Hey, Greg. So, yeah, from what I've read, the original code wasn't owned by Nintendo, and so a lot of times when you get a home version of this, or a clone of this, it's the NES release of it, rather than the original arcade version of it. Oh, that one, not fast enough. Yeah, it does have a learning curve because the platforming is so new. So the control feels a little floaty, but that's from today's standards. For the time, to be able to move someone left and right and jump feels pretty cool. And on the channel, since I've been playing so many games in a row, getting to Donkey Kong and playing as the brave carpenter, it actually feels really, really awesome. And it does one of those things, they got me. It does one of those things with video games where you play it and realize, oh, I could have done that better. I could have played it better. And that's what Donkey Kong does, because it's fun to run around and jump as a character. And whenever you mess up, you're like, oh, I could have done that better or jumped better. And you want to practice and do it better. Yes, I love that, because I heard the bass. They cranked that sucker up. All right, so if you're just joining us, this is Donkey Kong in July 1981. It's our first time playing this one after playing every video game, and this is a huge treat. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to the Pie Factory. I'd love to, though. Actually, you know what? We will get to Pie Factory. I have an idea. What kind of switches can we switch in the dip switches? There we go. How many lives can we go? We can max this up to 7 lives. And let's do that. Now, let's try again. So we will get to the Pie Factory. We just probably will die a lot of times. But he's a brave carpenter. He'll make it. Another thing that is going forward that we've heard for the best arcade game so far is the constant sound. Every time Mario moves, it sounds like he's got a rubber duck in his pants, and he squirms around, so he makes a noise every time he walks. Oh, I don't know about... It feels like they're throwing more barrels at me than they did before. I wonder if the dip switches also change difficulty. Because, oh, right before I climbed up. We are going to have arcade games that allow you to change difficulty, like how our enemies are, or things like that. For right now, the nuance isn't going to allow that, like how many barrels Donkey Kong throws and things like that. All right, here we go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We need to save the beautiful girl. Oh, I try to chance it, but it's kind of like that risk-reward thing. Let's climb the ladder, and maybe the barrel won't fall down. Maybe it will. I read that when Shigeru Miyamoto was writing this or designing this, they told he asked the developers how many sprites and colors or how many pixels he could use for the sprite of Mario, and they told him what he could use, and so he tried to design something that was going to be iconic or be able to be seen and understood. So he designed the mustache, and that's where the whole carpenter idea. Oh my gosh, these are coming relentlessly. No. So he designed the mustache and made it the carpenter, and the whole time that he was programming, I heard that he just called him the Action Man. That's what he called him. So still at this time, I don't think Mario's even mentioned or brought up. I thought it was Jumpman, but the advertisement flyer we read referred to him as the Brave Carpenter. Surprisingly. Alright, yeah, I must have switched something in the dip switches because this this feels like they're throwing more barrels than they did before. Maybe when I gave myself more lives, the game also increases the difficulty. Oh yeah, pole position, that's great music. We haven't really gotten to any scalar games. The first one I can think of is Turbo by Sega, that has some scaling, but like Monaco GP, they just kind of stretch the borders in and out. Look at this. Oh, I think I got a window in here, but yeah, I think they bumped the difficulty up just a little bit. All right, let's go, come on. Another thing I remember is having to learn to stand all the way up as Mario when you get to the top of the ladder. And they have the animation of, his butt sticking out. He climbs to the top, and if you don't go all the way up, then you can't jump, and you'll get hit by a barrel then. Oh yeah, for arcade. Sorry, I meant for arcade. Yeah, for arcade. At home though, Dino Wars. Very good point. Dino Wars did have scaling, incredible scaling. And yes, the skiing. That was the Coco for the win. Alright, I think we're off to a pretty good start. This one looks about the same. Oh, and I think I may have messed up because by the time you get to the end of this, there's fire everywhere, and it's really good to have a hammer that you can go across, and now we don't have one. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's not gonna work. Maybe I have a 1981 brain and the AI is too smart for me. There we go. We're not going for the beautiful girl's hat and purse. Sorry, we're leaving those behind. And that's what I heard too. They named him Mario because of the name of the guy that ran the warehouse in North America, right? Yeah, the warehouse that was holding cabinets in North America. Oh, no. Oh, it did the same one again. That stupid monkey. Or crazy monkey. Come on, Donkey Kong. There we go. Now we're getting there. What? I remember playing mostly on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and I don't remember it being this difficult, like in the number of barrels and the speed. But I'm loving the challenge though. It makes me think, wait a second, I can play that one better. That should have been, let's go for a double. Go! Oh my gosh. No. And then the cheating barrel that falls down the ladder. Oh yes. Yeah, the arcade is. I feel like I switched something in the dip switch and still didn't get far enough. Well, I really wanted to see the Pie Factory, but still, that's a really good taste of Donkey Kong in the arcades. So classic, so amazing. Of course, this one is a 5-star. The best, if not one of the best games you could have played in 1981 in the arcade. So 5 stars for Donkey Kong. Incredible. I would have kept playing, and that's always a good testament to a high-scoring game here on the channel. So after Donkey Kong, whatever could be next after that? Oh, cool. Okay, so this is the home release of Missile Command for the Atari 2600. We saw this in Atari Connection or Analog Computing. One of the magazines was saying it's coming or it's going to be here soon. And here it is, Missile Command at home. And there it is, the front of the box for the Atari 2600 version of Missile Command. Still at this time called the VCS. I don't think they've used the 2600 moniker. And there is amazing artwork. I love the front of the Missile Command box. It really gives the feeling of this is way more intense than what you think it is. Yeah, they had a great port, excellent port. Interplanetary ballistic missiles and anti-ballistic missiles. We got 34 different games that are on this, or in our language, 34 different game variations of Missile Command. And there's the back of the box, tells you it's played with the classic one joystick, one button controller. So cool. And then we have just a few different snippets. There's our cartridge for Missile Command. Got to be a reproduction, because every Missile Command cartridge I've ever seen on Atari, it's pretty gummed up. It doesn't look that smooth. All right, let's see what the manual has for us for Missile Command. Yes, the original manual there. Yeah, after we have Activision show up and they say there was 4 game modes for their Atari games, I'm like, they're jipping us. We had 114. Was it 118 for Space Invaders at home? All right, so let's see what we have for the manual for Missile Command. Your commanding orders. Aliens from the planet Krytol have begun an attack on the planet Zardon. Krytolians are warriors out to destroy and seize the planet of Zardon. Zardon is the last of the peaceful planets. The Zardonians are skillful and hardworking people. Their cities are built up in rich resources. It is truly a planet void of crime and violence. Zardon has built a powerful defense system. Several anti-ballistic missile bases have been established within the cities of Zardon. The Zardonians are ready for this attack and are prepared to fight to save their cities. So they're doing the Zardons, which they've used in Atari before. I think the original arcade cabinet, though, they told us it was like the U.S. or the world we're defending from actual cities, not from Zardon, the Zardonians. Yes, I guess not. They didn't want to associate this with real war. They didn't want kids to pretend they're blowing up or protecting us from people. Because if you remember the arcade game, and I believe this version has it too, when you blow up, everything's dead. It has this giant screen that says, the end, game over. As base commander, your responsibility is to protect and defend the 6 cities. Your only defense is to fire back with anti-ballistic missiles, ABMs to fire back. Object of the game is to defend the cities, and let me switch sides here. You can see over on the far left on this side, it's showing the screen of the cruise missile, the interplanetary ballistic missiles, and then where everything's going to come from, because it's not playing exactly like the arcade. The arcade had 3 bases with attack power. Now, I think you only have 1 base in the center that you play from. And then you must protect launching missile base from enemy fire. Once it's hit, all the contents are destroyed. However, you still have remaining missiles in the underground dump. The game ends when all cities are destroyed. And there's how to use the controller. We're pretty familiar with how to use the controller. This is pretty cool because the arcade was a trackball that you moved around, and then they have to. I guess they couldn't do that with the Atari paddle controls unless they had two paddles to do X and Y axis. But they still programmed it very well for the one joystick on the Atari home console. Yeah, that's true. The different variants with the Switch. I can understand that. So you got different game selects and then reset difficulty switches. Oh, there is different difficulty levels. When it's in A, the ABMs move slower, and B, it looks like they move faster. If you do two-player games, oh, you can do handicap. That's pretty cool. So on the console itself, there was switches for difficulty, and a lot of times they don't really use or do too much. But here, if you play a two-player game, you can do handicap. Have one player, like a younger brother or sister, giving them a handicap whenever you play two-player. And then here's all the scoring. Got to get that high score in 1981. Scoring multipliers, yes, love it. And then for game variations, we have 34 game variations for the home version of Missile Command. Slow and fast target control, smart enemy cruise missile, dumb enemy cruise missile bases. So let me see, then they have the grid at the very back. If you look at the end, I know it's kind of sideways right above me, but this grid is to show off which switch on the Atari console you're using and then which game you're going to play. So there's the starting wave. They even have, they have children's games. 17 and 34 play at a lower, easier speed for young children. They have dumb enemy cruise missiles, slow target control, enemy attacks at a slower rate with less missiles. As children become skilled at this level, they should try the more difficult game variations, starting at game 1. And then for two-player games, we have two-player alternate as base commander, one wave at a time. The left controller player begins the game. Each player's score appears at the top of the screen. Okay, so it's competitive. They have a cooperative mode. I thought they did, where you could play at the same time. Or maybe whenever I played it, I thought we were playing cooperatively, but we weren't. This was a very long time ago when I last played this one. All right, so that was the manual. We'll refer back to it if we need to. For other versions, we have the European version, some pirated versions, Amiga Mouse version, and then ones that have been programmed in with the CX80 trackball. That's pretty cool. That was an extra peripheral. I don't think it was standard for Atari, but we'll play using the Atari joystick. So here we go. It is July 15th, 1981, and this is the home release of Missile Command. Have you played Atari today? Well, now we have. Oh, it does. I didn't know that. It has an Easter egg. Everyone always shows off the Easter egg, like we did on the channel. We showed the Easter egg off of War and Robinette when we got to Adventure, but any other ones that I've heard about, I haven't spent the time to show off those Easter eggs, but I would love to know what this one is. All right, so let's start with game mode 1. You can see what it's like. We'll go ahead and push reset on the console. Oh, yes. Nice. After red alert in the arcades with no sound. This sounds so cool. It feels like I'm really blowing something up in my house. Did anybody else turn the volume way, way up on your CRT television and annoy your mom? I would actually use this game to play with a toy gun in the room, and so I'd fire this off and then do that with my gun, like I was using this as the sound effects, cranking it up really loud. Oh yeah, this plays great. What's really impressive is the base showing your missiles. It looks like it's displaying a higher resolution pixel, like right in the center of the screen. If you can see right down there at the bottom, it looks like it's displaying the ammunition at a higher pixel count than usual. Like it's another layer down there. Not too familiar about that, but it's just something that I haven't really seen on the 2600 for pixels that small. There we go. Nice. I hope it's loud enough for you. We're playing the original mode, and yes, this is getting faster, but oh, this is another one of those games you can really get in the zone. I was really excited to play this in the arcades. And playing this at home, it still feels great. This is so well at home. Wow, yeah, the sound effects are really good for the home console. You gotta wait for your command center to reload. There it is. I love the idea of planning or leading your shots. So much fun. Well, if only Donkey Kong was this well. Every single one of these games, I never claim to be an expert at the games. Hopefully, whenever I finish this entire channel, I'll be an expert with video game history. But on the way, it is fun playing and controlling every game, getting a feel of the differences of how we evolved in the video game world. And we got the extra ditty there. That's pretty cool. Oh, no way, dude. Oh, they're gonna get the side. Yeah, if you don't lead that shot, you're never gonna get it. Looks good. They should have combined this and Red Alert with the protecting France, US, and Japan and so forth. So every time you go to a new level, it just displays a name or a country that you're protecting. But no, we're protecting the Zardonians. They're much more important than France or Japan. No! It's too late. No, we lost a Zardonian city. Whatever will we do? All right, so let's switch out and go to the manual again. I want to get a different game mode, so I'm going to go to the back of the manual. And, well, it's a little harder to see. We have different one-player games, slow target control, and then smart cruise missiles. And then we have the two-player games. So sadly, I won't be able to do games 18 and up, just because I don't have someone with me tonight. But games 1 through 17, we'll just check out a few other ones. So I flipped the switch. If you can see, you can go color in black and white. So all those that had black and white televisions, I did. The first one I had was black and white. And that does bring back memories, but we'll continue to play in color. All right, so let's switch out the game modes. You can see at the top of the screen, I'm switching the game select, and it's going, oh, that's nice. It actually has a display of which ones are one player and two player. Usually it doesn't do that for us. So let's see at game 5. This one should have smarter cruise missiles. Oh yeah, that one's, yeah, they're already starting us off really fast on this game mode. And they're targeting directly where we need to go. Yeah, there we go. So it's more of an expert mode on game 5. Oh, no. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, thinking I was doing really good with the home version of Missile Command. No, it was just because I was playing on an easier mode. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty cool. I really enjoy at this time in gaming, we have different game modes for every cartridge. So we play a game and we're expected to have different ways we can play, not just one thing, which is really nice. And they've been doing that on, not just, oh, they got me. They've been doing that not just on Atari, but we've seen it on Magnavox Odyssey 2 and the Intellivision as well. I love that comment. I was never told that, but yeah, all these games, I could believe my mom back then. If she told me that, I would have said, yeah, you're right. I don't want to ruin the color TV. These games are too intense. Oh, yes. Got it. Very nice. All right, so let's go to one more, which I believe was game... What was the kid version? Kid version was 5 and 7, I think. No, 17. Okay, yeah, there it is. So going back, we're 17. All right, here we go. So here is the kid version of Missile Command. Oh, they even moved the cursor slow. Look at that, look. It's so slow that it's hard to tell where to lead it. But yeah, the cursor moves slow and everything's slow. That is so fun. Love it. That's it. Yes. Man, this is a blast. Now I'm starting to think of all the games we played on the consoles. And up to this point, this is up there with Space Invaders. We gave that one 5 stars, but that was last year. So for home releases, this is the biggest one we've seen so far. As far as game variations, it doesn't have as many as Space Invaders, but it's still a blast. And we're not going to fault it for not playing the 2-player mode. I'm still going to consider that when we look at how well this is. Oh, and I love that about the Atari, too. In fact, a lot of the games that I could play later, I would have rather used the Sega Genesis controller than the original Atari controller. I guess it depends on what it is. This one works great. Having the one joystick is pretty cool. All right, so that's the different 2-player modes. Let's see if we have... So this one's alternating 2-player. Yeah, so you go from one person to another, and then they can switch out for score-based modes. And then there's, I think, simultaneous play for some of them, right? Where you can go at the same time. Oh, it has different handicap modes for it. That's right. Got it. All right, so that was Missile Command. The long-awaited, we've been hearing about it in analog computing and in Atari Connection, and so we finally got a chance to check out Missile Command. This one, they said, was showcased at a not a consumer electronics show, but an electronic expo, and I just think it's hilarious. If you were to go back in time and you're there at the expo, this game that's showcased on the 2600 is one of the big things of an electronics show. This game that we're playing. Because now if you go to any electronics expos or the CES conventions and so forth, there's obviously way more. We have virtual reality, different exhibits where they're trying to wow us with, with the newest, coolest stuff. But this was the newest, coolest thing for 1981. This is something that people were standing around in lines to play at an early 1981. Just incredible. Okay, so for this one, this is up there. I could almost go all the way to 5 stars as well with this one, because last year was Space Invaders, which was a killer app for the system. This is still very good. One of the best games we played on the Atari 2600, and one of the best games we played from consoles in general. So it's still up there. I don't know why I would want to give it 4.5. I still would go 5 stars. So from the chat, if anyone wants to help me out, would this be considered one of the best games, like a 5-star, the best game you could play on a console up to this point from 1981? Or is it a notch below? And I can understand that as well with 4.5 stars. It's a really tight call. So the other killer app, I'm with you. So there's one for 5 stars. I can see this as well. I know for sure the Space Invaders sold a lot of Atari 2600s. I don't know as much about this one. Oh, with the game variants? Yep. Okay, so we'll do that one as well. 5 stars. A great showing for Missile Command. And with the sound effects and explosions going off in the background, that sound means it is time for tonight to end. We're going to put the Chronologically Gaming on pause and continue next time, because there's always going to be new games to play, new experiences, and probably things you have not seen before. We will see you then. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we miss any games along the way. This video would not be possible without RetroArch and Launchbox. Please tell your friends there's some crazy guy out there trying to play every single video game. You can always check out Chronologically Gaming on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We will catch you next time.